So they had somehow advertised that Alexa Bliss had challenged Randy Orton, and they were going to, I don't know if they ever termed it a match or just that's a challenge they're going to meet. I don't know. And that's where I mentioned they could do a package most of the time. As soon as I saw the package, it was preposterous. Can you imagine somebody, God, that's been in a coma for 30 years, that used to never miss a wrestling program, and they've been in a coma, and all of a sudden they wake up, and this is the first thing they see: burning people alive, an evil schoolgirl reciting nursery rhymes, and then burning people with flamethrowers, and Alexa Bliss hijacks the fan screens in the Thunderdome and makes Randy Orton puke black sludge on himself, and Orton on TV speaking to Orton standing there looking at the TV. No wonder people hate this shit now. No wonder people don't watch this shit anymore. Who thought any of this would be good anything, much less wrestling? What is wrong with these people? The writers, the talent, and the producers, the fucking Vince himself, anybody that doesn't just walk out in disgust. No wonder. Nobody wants to see this, and that's why nobody is seeing this shit. Wrestling. Nobody is watching anymore. Fucking hell, we're talking about shows with 750,000 viewers winning the fucking Wednesday Night War. And at first, during the package, I had because Randy Orton, one of my OVW guys, right? And he's a phenomenal worker, and he's been a fantastic talent. And I know how Randy is. He just wants his check, and he's way past the point of giving a shit about any of this, the wrestling business or any of these people. I'm sure that his calculating personality indicates if they want to pay him millions of dollars a year for very few days a month of acting like a fucking idiot and associating with idiots, he's taking this guy's check. But right here, is why wrestling is now a joke to everybody. And there's less than 2 million people watching the big show, and there's 750,000 idiots watching a school play on the other channel just because this shit's so bad. And then Randy Orton comes to the ring, gets up on the ropes, and pukes. I thought he just watched the package.
That wasn't puke. That was some kind of black slime.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Puking black. What is the thing now with slime? The green slime, the black slime. Who's behind this? Kabuki? Is it you, Kabuki? Are you a warrior or an errand boy?
One of these writers went and saw some old 92 stuff with Papa Shango and said, we should try this.
So, while Orton is at ringside puking, which is the reaction that we're all about to have, here comes this Alexa Bliss, all 4'10", 90 pounds of her, with the graphics, the Firefly Funhouse, the music, the skipping. I hate it all. I hate it all. If I had ever been at a wrestling event where something like this took place, I would have either walked out or committed physical assault. And then there was a referee there, but yet the referee disappeared at any moment that it was fortuitous for him to disappear. And obviously, since it was the WWE, there was no point where Randy Orton actually got his hands on Alexa Bliss in any kind of aggressive manner. But at the same place, Alexa Bliss never got her hands on Randy Orton either, because it was a special effects match part of the time. He goes for her, but suddenly the camera cuts and fire leaps up in front of Randy Orton, and he jumps back, and then she laughs in a different shot. Maybe whoever did that film school bullshit in a warehouse for AEW's shooting some of this. And then Randy just runs 100 miles an hour at this little tiny little blonde girl who just pirouettes out of the way, and he posts himself and goes to the floor. And then this moved at a snail's pace where he's looking at her like he's all scared and creepy, and he's like he's buying any of this shit, which made Randy Orton, of course, then look like a complete befucking foon. And she's just backing away, and he's creeping up on her. Slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch, minute by minute, hour by hour. And right when he had almost crept up on her, or maybe crapped up on her, then a lighting grid falls from the sky because she twinkled her nose like Samantha Stevens.
She looked up and she looked down, and some sort of poltergeist-like power caused the lighting grid to fall.
Right at Randy's feet. And he says, "Are you trying to kill me?" Yeah, kind of. I guess that's what they were going for there. And then nothing happened. And then I was trying to think, who thought Alexa Bliss should be a professional wrestler? How was that a good idea? Maybe she could have worked with little darling Dagmar back in the day. Then she shot another flare at him out of her fire-throwing bazooka gun. And then everything came to a halt again. And what I've just described here took, 5-6 minutes? Easily.
Yeah, about
Seemed
that.
like forever. But then Randy's standing there when suddenly a hand comes through the ring behind Randy and grabs him by the foot. And son of a gun, wouldn't you know who won the pony? The crispy critter from Cripple Creek has returned. The Fiend is back, to the cheers and adulation of absolutely no fucking body. Stupid bullshit. But now he's got a mask. He's been burned. So he's got a burn mask and a burned outfit. And he comes through the ring. And as he and Randy Orton are then having a fucking stare. Why does everybody have stare downs? Let me ask you a question. If you are a person, a real person, and something real is happening to you, you are in the moment that someone reaches up through the ring and grabs you by the foot. And when you turn around, you see that a person that you burned alive previously is coming up through the floor of the ring with malice aforethought and intent of injury in his eyes. Are you going to stand there and have a stare down with him, or are you going to jump out of the ring and assess this situation? See?
Yeah.
So they have the stare down, and Alexa Bliss pushes Randy Orton into the Fiend's finish. Alexa Bliss covers Randy Orton. A referee's arm appeared and counted 3 with the Fiend standing over Alexa Bliss covering Randy Orton. So now Alexa Bliss beat Randy Orton.
And apparently she upset Randy Orton's wife. Did you see that?
I did not.
Well, the way she straddled him when she pinned him, apparently Randy Orton's wife wasn't very happy about that and went on Twitter.
Well, that's the smallest worry that anybody had. I'm sure that's probably the only thing about that fucking abortion of a match Randy Orton enjoyed. But with all apologies to Mrs. Orton, there's bigger fish to fry going on here than whether your husband got humped or not in the finish. The fact is, your husband just got beat by a 100-pound girl in an obviously phony fucking bullshit match that was an abomination to pro wrestling. There's your lead story, Mrs. Orton. God damn it. So, there's a new rule, Brian. I call it the blissful Orton rule. Fuck everybody involved in this, and I've now written off Randy Orton.
Oh, come on. He's an OVW guy.
I will never watch another Randy Orton match. I'm just glad that Lawler's too old to get in the ring again, at least for the WWF, or they would put me off of him. But no, I know Randy likes the millions of dollars, but I have to be fair and consistent. And no, this is worse than the tooth and nail. This was worse than football field fuckery.
I agree.
This was probably, I can't think of what was worse than this.
I thought this was one of the worst things I've ever seen It made me angry that I was watching this show. I don't know who the audience for Vince McMahon science fiction is. This was as bad a wrestling segment as I have ever seen. And I was pissed after this match. And I thought it was the end of the show. I forgot there was another match. So I was like, well, at least that's the end. I don't have to watch anymore. But then there was another match, and I watched it, and it made me even more mad because, as I'm sure we're about to talk about, that match was great. That match was, I could do it with a little less of the run-ins, but that match was a great example of how wrestling could work. A contest, you don't know where the finish is going to come from, not overdoing it with near falls. Really, really good. And
Daniel Bryan, you didn't mention the participants. Oh, yeah. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns.
Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, and man, Daniel Bryan still has it. He is fantastic. But it followed this. I'm lucky those guys didn't get swallowed up into the hole that flaming Bray Wyatt popped out of. That just went away. The ring crew must have come down there and fixed the ring really quick.
How did they get that fixed, I wonder, that quick?
I don't know. But I loved that match, and I couldn't enjoy it to the level I wanted to because I hated this so much. It's not even about Randy Orton to me. I've never been the biggest Randy Orton fan, but I can respect what his skills and talent are. But everything with Bray Wyatt, anything he's involved with, even if he's only there as a spirit and he's not physically there, anything he's involved with, go home heat to the max for me. There are wrestlers I've talked about before. When I see the Good Brothers, go home heat. I don't want to watch them. I zone out. But it doesn't make me want to throw the TV out the window. Bray Wyatt and the
everything he's involved in.
Everything. The supernatural garbage. How does Vince McMahon think this is good? That's the... Because Vince doesn't put things on the show if he doesn't think it's good. He thinks this is good. This is excruciatingly bad.
And he ain't coming up with all this shit by himself. A lot of people are giving this to him because he thinks it's good, instead of saying, no, I will not be a part of this. And this is not the Vince McMahon idea. Once again, I worked with this guy. I was in a car with him forever. Some days. I was in his house forever. Some days. If I had presented anything like this, he would have slapped me around and kicked me out. I don't understand what's happened here. But anyway, and as you said, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, I love Daniel Bryan as a worker. Roman Reigns, I have loved his work with Paul Heyman. And I'm sure they had a wonderful match. And if I'd have bothered to watch after what that I just saw.
Oh, come on.
I'm sure I would have loved it. But no, I was not going to watch anything else. I turned this off. I deleted it as fast as possible so I'd never be tempted to go back and watch it again. And that's exactly, I would have to think that by the time that they got to the good match on the 3-hour program, that a lot of people had already seen, this is a fucking mistake, and fucking zoned out or tuned out. And if they stuck through it, well, then maybe they were rewarded with a good match, but I didn't want to see. And that's why you had called me and said, now, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but just after the Orton thing, there's another match and it's really good, so make sure you watch it.
I did, yeah.
And I said, okay.
You did.
And when you told me it was Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, I said, okay, then I will look forward to that. By the time I got finished watching what they perpetrated on the screen in the alleged, I don't know what the fuck that was. I don't care. I don't want to see any more of anybody's matches. I turned the fucking thing off. I deleted it. I will never watch Randy Orton again. I've never watched Alexa Bliss before, and now I know why. I already don't want to see anything involving the Fiend. And I didn't want to see any more. And that's what I was talking about earlier in the program also. They penalize the people that go out and try to do it right because the viewer is either so disgusted, so zoned out, so apathetic about what's going on that they're not even paying attention anymore. And just because I bought the pay-per-view, just so I can have it on my big TV in front of my comfy couch, I know nobody else is paying for it these days, which is why I'm sure a lot of people had turned this thing off by that point. Why would you watch that?
I was close to turning things off. It just so happened I had it on mute and I was doing something on my computer and I looked up and they were getting ready for the next match and I had forgotten all about Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan because of, again, the Poltergeist match we just watched, which was the worst thing. And Bray Wyatt may be the worst wrestler. I shouldn't even say the worst. He's the wrestler I despise the most in the business because anything he's involved with, including, like I said, he doesn't even have to be there. If it's just surrounding the world of the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, it is bad. And, you know, maybe there'd be some redeeming value if he was really good in the ring. If you could say, yeah, okay, he's wearing a Toxic Avenger mask, and yeah, okay, it's a little goofy, and I'm not into the supernatural shit, but at least, like, once the match starts, this guy can go. No, you can't even argue that.
No.
You can't even say this guy's good in the ring. He was a really good promo, and then that went overboard with all this supernatural, spooky shit that just isn't good. This is bad TV. This is horrible wrestling.
How do we know if he can work though? Because it's all the bullshit getting hit by sledgehammers and being blown up and coming back.
Because we saw him before that. It wasn't always that. Remember, for a while he was like some kind of Cajun swamp master, and he had his brood of guys come out with him, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, and it was very unique and very different. And it had really cool theme music, and people kind of got into it. And then
I wasn't watching then.
And then the bell would ring, and you'd be like, "Man, this guy sucks."
Oh, well, see, well then you didn't make me start watching this shit until after he was already teleporting himself into other dimensions in the Firefly Funhouse.
But I would have had the exact same reaction as you if I hadn't just by chance noticed that Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan was starting. And then I watched, and it was an exceptional match. It was great. It made me realize how much more I enjoy the match almost ending because of submissions than nonstop near falls. It creates a better match. Edge was the ringside enforcer. Eventually, since you didn't watch it, I'll tell you, Jey Uso ran in, interfered while the referee was down. They kind of telegraphed the referee bump, but that's another story. Then Edge got involved, and Edge hit Daniel Bryan because he wants to win the title, and who knows if it's going to be a three-way at WrestleMania or just Edge versus Roman Reigns, but this was a good piece of business. I really, really liked it. I would have liked it more if I wasn't already in a really bad mood because of Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Listen, Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt, just go out to Hollywood. Just see if you can get any gigs out there doing a Rob Zombie movie or something. But please stop doing this. Please go away.
Yeah, this should not be done anymore. And yeah, well, I wish I'd have seen Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. But maybe they'll ask to go on first next time so that they can be professional, have a match, entertain some people, and then get out of the way while the fucking writers take over the show and send it into the toilet.
Bad. Just really bad.
Speed trap.
WWE sucks so bad. We go off on AEW, and AEW has their problems, and they're significant. And it's not a good wrestling show, but it doesn't make me want to gouge my eyes out. It doesn't make me hate myself for watching it. WWE, I hate myself after watching it. It's really bad.
I really hate myself equally after watching both shows.
No, I don't think you can compare that. WWE is much worse than AEW.
Well, do you want wrestling insulted completely and utterly like Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton, or do you want it insulted just a little bit at a time, like every amateur, outlaw, untrained goof making elementary mistakes every time they take a breath? It's.
I prefer that. I prefer that.
Just the Chinese water torture rather than a right in the middle of the fucking face. All right. Well, I can see that then. And you know, a lot of people now, after we've spent this time talking about this abysmal program, are going to say, well, they still like WWE better than, you know, it's like,
I don't.
They don't listen.
I don't. I will say it right here. I like AEW better than WWE, but I think AEW kind of sucks too. But I like it better than the really, really awful show.
The big suckage. They don't listen anyway, because do you know what I had when I critiqued the legendary women's main event of Dr. Britt Baker and it's her goddamn name, Thunder Rosa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, and everybody's, oh, well, he just hates women's wrestling. That's it. When the whole basis of my criticism, besides the fact that I said they did a good job of what they did, but I hate these kind of matches, whether men or women do them. The whole basis of my criticism was comparing that match to another women's match that I did love, that I was thrilled with, and thought was the best thing on WrestleMania. And I elaborated the reasons why I loved that match while didn't love this one, and why. And they basically said my criticism of a women's wrestling match in favor of another women's wrestling match that I loved meant that I hate all women's wrestling. Did I get that about right?
Yeah, someone actually emailed the Drive-Thru. I don't have it in front of me, but I saw it when I was going through emails before. And it said that if it was Terry Funk versus Jerry Lawler in that match, you would have raved about it if it was the exact same match.
No, I wouldn't have. Because they never fucking powerbombed each other in thumbtacks. Their shit looked real. They were having a fight and the furniture got in the way. They didn't assist each other in setting the furniture up so that they could assist each other in falling through it. There's a big difference. And whether it's men or women that do it, it's just that the only thing you see today is garbage matches with furniture or brawl matches where they go out at ringside over and over because that's all they do, but they haven't figured out how to do them or why to do them or when to do them. So therefore, no. I can honestly say that I would have blistered Jerry Lawler and Terry Funk also if they had stopped one of their incredible 5-star matches to get a bag of thumbtacks and spread it out in the middle of the ring and take turns taking bumps in it on purpose.
To set up a table and then go back to the match? You would have.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. Everybody's lost the plot. Now, these fans that think somehow that this product is wrestling today remind me of basically of Shitstain. Because he never absorbed the context of wrestling. He just superficially watched a bunch of guys on a screen yelling at each other, and every once in a while somebody'd get hit with a chair or a coconut. And that's what he absorbed. And that's all. And so now it's not, wow, that was a great match because they had that street fight movie fight scene in the context of this incredible one-take performance of a fight in front of thousands of people on all four sides with, no net. You get one take. It's live. You've got to be able to convince them. And instead it's...
Let's get coconuts in every scene.
Yeah. Let's get a bunch of knuckleheads out there setting up some fucking furniture and build some things in the ring so that we can take a big bump off the top of a ladder through it. Fucking idiots.
Well, Jim, coming out of this pay-per-view, maybe to remind yourself of this new rule, the blissful Orton rule, whatever you're calling it, perhaps you get a painting of Alexa Bliss on her swing set, doing all sorts of demonic magic tricks.
And ladies and gentlemen, the award for the worst segue in the history of podcasting goes to the great Bryan Last. But I'll tell you what, folks, if you would like to have a painting of yourself sitting back in your recliner watching classic wrestling, well, you could get that at Paint Your Life, or you can get anything else and just drop the wrestling. Folks, we've been talking about them for so long. If you want to give your wife, your grandparents, your parents, your family members, your friends a perfect birthday gift, wedding gift, anniversary gift, whatever the case, give yourself something. Treat yourself. You deserve it. Whatever the case, the folks at paintyourlife.com can fix you up. You can get a professional hand-painted portrait created from any photo at an affordable price by a world-class artist. Or Combine pictures. We've mentioned this before. If you have family members that never actually were in the same place at the same time or from different generations, you can get a family portrait, even if those people were never around each other at the same time. Or whether it's a beloved pet or a special place, whatever, you can send any picture or combination of pictures, and they will create a professional hand-painted portrait. And folks, right now, if you text DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000, that's 64 and 3 zeros, DRIVE to 64,000, 20% off your painting at paintyourlife.com. That's right, text DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000, and you'll get 20% off your painting and free shipping. They'll ship it to you for nothing. Did I mention DRIVE to 64,000? The folks at Paint Your Life will fix you up. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms.